Good afternoon. Welcome to the afternoon experiment. My name is Emanuel Livingston. I'm with you until, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe 5, maybe 4. I'm really tired today. Like, really, really sleepy. I have insomnia lately. I can't go to sleep. So I'm up just laying there. Like, legit, just laying there. And even the whole watch a movie thing hasn't been working. So I'm just up, laying there chilling. Robert Willis, hey, what's up? I think what, last night or this morning, I was just laying there, TV off, doing nothing, and it was like 4:30. That's the last time I remember looking at the clock. So, I am tired. I am tired. But I'm here. What's up, Brandy? Greetings. As usual, come on in. Say hi to me if you don't mind. Where you checking in from? Olympia, checking us out from Westchester. Good afternoon. Got David checking us out from the north. All right. Got Daryl. Daryl says, what's up? Anthony, good afternoon. Good afternoon. David wants to know, am I still using my C? No, I mean, off and on. Off and on. I'm not consistent with it. I'm not. It's just so burdensome. But that won't help me go to sleep. My issue now is going to sleep. Lady K, good afternoon. Good afternoon. Corey, hey, what's up? Good afternoon. In Charlotte, all right. Good afternoon, Diane from Covington. All right, we got Covington. We got Charlotte. Well, I have a brother from Georgia checked in yet. Miss Pittsburgh from Pittsburgh checking in. Lady K says she from Mason. All right. Brian, good afternoon from Springfield Township. Daryl says north of I-275. All right. We got Nat checking in from Madisonville. Yo Underwood at the JC. All right. You a guard? It ain't none of my business. Sabrina from North College Hill. Sierra from Southern Massachusetts. All right. Crystal, good afternoon from Forest Park. Shirley, my cousin from Westchester, first day back to work. I'm sorry. Well, maybe not. I mean, you got a job. You can't beat that. Myosha, checking in from her mansion. She just be fronting. Lady K says she's in Mason. All right. Well, look, I only got a few things to talk about. Of course, I got to start with the voting for Speaker of the House. Tree, I see you in there sneaking in from Columbia Township. And McConnell working in Fairfield. But I got to start with this vote for Speaker of the House. Speaker of the House. The fifth vote is actually, I think they're finished voting. Of course, Jeffries with 212, McCarthy with 201, Donalds with 20. And for everybody, they need 218 to win. And I was talking to Tina earlier today. She was on another show. And she was saying, let's go Jeffries. Jeffries is not going to win. He's a Democrat. And it's a Republican-controlled House. 6 Republicans would have to say, you know what? Forget the Republicans. I'm voting for Jeffries. That's not going to happen. And it's not just defeatist. No, that's just the truth. It's not going to happen. So the Republicans really got to figure out what they're going to do. Now they're floating the idea of Steve Scalise. Because they say, he got shot and people like him. And, he's the number 2 guy. He could do it. But McCarthy not giving up. McCarthy say he don't care what happened. He not dropping out. He is not dropping out. So they're at a standstill. And again, keep in mind, they can't do anything until they figure this out. They can't do committee assignments. They can't, look at any proposed legislation. They can't even set the rules for the House until they figure this out. And so you say, well, how long is this going to go on? How long is this going to go on? No way to tell. No way to tell. This could just go on and on. Legit, I don't think it will. But we could legit be here this time next year dealing with the same thing. They could still be voting to determine who's going to be the Speaker of the House. That's the way the rules work. They can't do anything until they get a Speaker. McCarthy said he's not going nowhere. They keep nominating other people. Like at one point, Jim Jordan, they nominated. Now they're nominating Donalds. He's a black Republican. And y'all know they not voting for him. Well, 20 people did, but they only voted for him because they knew he wouldn't win. Like, I think if they really believed Donalds had a shot at winning, ain't nowhere in the world them Republicans would nominate him. And it's that Freedom Caucus, a portion of that Freedom Caucus. Now, y'all know my position on this is simple. My position on this is simple. I believe the Republican Party is a hate group. That's what I believe. And then you have what they're calling the Freedom Caucus. They're like the extreme portion of the hate group. You're like, what? An extreme portion of the hate group? Yeah. Yeah. So they say they're not voting for McCarthy. I was watching Boebert when she nominated Donalds. And she says, her favorite president, Donald Trump, called them and told them, hey, stop it. You're going to embarrass yourself. Stop it. She said, but what he should be doing is calling McCarthy, telling him, drop out because you don't have the votes. So they somebody got to blink. And you got people from both sides saying, look, if this is a game of chicken, we are not blinking. And the other side saying, well, if this is a game of chicken, we are not blinking. Somebody will blink. Somebody will blink. But who? I don't know. Daryl says Biden needs to step aside and back Hakeem Jeffries for the Democratic nomination for president. Well, I'm not sure about that. Does he even want to run? And I don't know a whole lot about Hakeem Jeffries. So he would have to be vetted. But he's been vetted, Emanuel. He's the top Democrat. No, vetted. That's different vetting. That's different. When you step up and you decide, hey, I'm going to run for president, they take a deep dive. But I don't know. Angela says this is where we have allowed ourselves with accepting two-party government. I'm open to a viable third-party person. I'm open to a viable third-party candidate for any office. I would vote for a third-party candidate for president, for any, from local to state to federal office. I would vote for a third party or independent candidate. But I don't know that a lot of people would. But I wouldn't hesitate to do it. I wouldn't hesitate to do it. Daryl says, we didn't know a whole lot about Obama. And we found out. We found out. I mean, you don't know what may or may not come out. That's all I'm saying. You don't know what may or may not come out. What does Hakeem Jeffries stand for? You know what I'm saying? What? Because you got to have a message for the people. Daryl says, what, the Green Party? There's never been I'm sure you meant viable third party. You put forth the right candidate with the right message. Now you gotta make it and push your way through all the clutter, which is where the parties, like, there needs to be some organization put into creating a third party to make it viable. Because Democrats and Republicans are going to have a whole lot of money. And some people will say, money don't matter. Money matters. Money matters. How do you get your candidate in front of the people without some money? You know how many commercials we see? You know how many commercials we see when it's time to run for office? We see commercial after commercial after commercial. All them flyers that you get at the house, all of that costs money. All of that costs money. And then the reality of it is, look, while I might be looking for a good third or independent candidate, I might be looking for that. The overwhelming majority of America is just going to go with what they used to. Either I'm going to vote for the Democrat or I'm going to vote for the Republican. I'm going to pay attention to the Democrat. I'm going to pay attention to the Republican. You got to be like a really, really strong candidate. And I hesitate to, like Ross Perot, not that he was a strong candidate, which I think is what doomed him, but he broke through because he had a lot of money. So he broke through to be on that stage, but then he didn't have the substance. So it's not just having substance or just being able to break through. When you're the third party candidate or non-Republican, non-Democrat, you got to be able to break through and stand out. And I don't know. Angela says people are lazy. It's true. People are lazy. And partially what we talked about yesterday, partially what we talked about yesterday is for some of this stuff, we rely on the media. We rely on the media to give us information. And if the media is only going to focus on the Republican and the Democrat and not on anybody else, that's a big deal. That's a big deal. I remember when here, Justin Jeffrey, he was in one of them boy bands. I don't remember which one was from Cincinnati, but he was running for mayor and trying to break through. And I remember, I think it was City Beat was doing a debate. And the Buzz was carrying it live. And Justin Jeffrey was a valid candidate for mayor. He was gonna be on the ballot. So it was Justin Jeffrey, and then I don't remember who the Republican and the Democrat or who the other two people were. But I remember him showing up. This was at the Greenwich. And he showed up and he was like, hey, of course I'm not quoting him. He was like, hey, I deserve to be up here in this debate too. And the people from City Beat was like, no, no. And he was like, but why not? Why don't I get a shot to be in a debate for mayor when I am a candidate for mayor? I am going to be on this ballot. Why do I not get a shot to debate the other two people who are going to be on this ballot? And they were like, no, not going to happen. And basically he shut the debate down for probably about 10 minutes until finally the people who were there, who were in attendance, were finally like, hey, let that man talk. Let him talk. Let him be a part of this debate. He is a legit candidate. He is on the ballot. He's not just some crazy person. And eventually, they relented and gave him an opportunity to be on the ballot. But that's the fight that you have when you're not one of those majority party candidates. That's the fight you're going to have. And then once you get on the stage, you gotta kill it in order for people to look at you and say, I can vote for that guy. So yes, people are lazy, but the media a lot of times decides who are the valid candidates. Media makes that decision a lot of times. Say Justin Jeffrey went to SCPA. All right. Angela says a third party would blow some folks' mind. It would take a long time. It would take a long time for people to accept a third party candidate. He was in 98 Degrees. I couldn't tell you a 98 Degree song if you held a gun to my head. I have no idea. None. Daryl says it would, and we can create that, but again, it would never happen because we are at war with each other over the two parties we do have. I don't think that's why. I'm not at war with anybody, but well, maybe you would say I am because I believe the Republican Party is a hate group, but I believe that. But I'm realistic enough to acknowledge how difficult it would be, especially running for president for somebody, because there are different rules to get on a ballot in every state. So you got to overcome that. Like, how do I get on the ballot in every state? Angela says, I think this is why some candidates may misrepresent themselves. Yeah. Yeah. Anthony says some of it is that you can't just come out the blue talking about you running for an important office because people won't accept it. People will not accept it. What? And look, I know a lot of y'all hate her, but I mean, just look at a Kelly Prather. Kelly Prather says, I want to run for state senate. Or what? No, she was trying to run for the Senate or the House. And people are, no, you got to start here. And then you got to do this. And then you got to do that. Just ideas be damned. Like, I could see if you like, no, she's not fit or she doesn't have the right ideas or, whatever. But that was not the pushback. The pushback is you got to start here and then you got to do this and then you got to do that because people want to vote for an established candidate. People don't want to vote for somebody new. And that's just the truth. People don't want to vote for somebody new. And that's why the new candidates typically, not always, you got some people who break through here and break through there, but typically your new candidates who get in office, the Republican or a Democrat, because they're backed by that party, and that gives them, in a lot of people's minds, validity. Well, if the Republicans said it, then we can vote for them. If the Democrats endorse them, then we can vote for them. And that's just the way it is. That's just, people are lazy. The media picks who they want. And we, the people, will not give a new person a chance unless either the media or one of these parties gives them validity. And you can listen to him and be like, I agree with everything he said. I agree with everything she said. Oh man, that person would be great for her. Well, I'm not going to vote for him. Well, why not? Well, they ain't been nowhere. They ain't, but you agree with everything they say. They're going to represent you. Well, but they ain't never held office before, but they represent you. Everything that they say, everything that they believe in represents you. But they got to start at the bottom. It's like, okay. So then sometimes I just wonder, do we actually want to see people who actually represent us? And I don't know. But we it looks like now they're about to do a sixth vote. They're about to do a sixth one. So they're up there nominating McCarthy right now. So they're about to do this thing again. Again, I told y'all, what was it, yesterday? I had looked it up. I don't have the information on my screen anymore. But in like 1835 or something like that, they went through 133 rounds of voting. 133. We on number 6. We about to do number 6. And already I know a lot of us, even me, and I like seeing the kind of chaos in the Republican Party. I like seeing that. And if I'm a Democrat, like if the Democrats don't win in 2024, after this, they kind of don't deserve it. There is no way that after this, like, Republican should be synonymous with, well, a whole lot of stuff, but with, they can't come together with just, I'm drawing a blank. I'm drawing a blank on words. I had coronavirus. That happens to me still. Chaos. They should be synonymous with chaos. Like, I'll be honest. The fact that I haven't heard who's the guy that we sent from here. He won over Shabbat. What's it, Greg? He was on city council. I'm not even playing, y'all. I can't remember. I can see him, but I can't remember his name. Landsman. Thank you, Will. Greg Landsman. I'm going to reach out to Greg Landsman, and I'm going to tell him he's doing a disservice right now. He's doing a disservice right now. Because he should be on the phone at least every day while this is going on the Lincoln Ware Show, and trying to get on any other outlet that he can get on to paint the Republican Party as dysfunctional and as something, as people who you can't trust to lead because they can't even come together and lead themselves. People give Alicia Reese a hard time, who I always give Alicia Reese credit. Alicia Reese will call Lincoln Ware and get on the show and say, this is what I'm doing, and this is what they doing, and this is what I'm doing, and this is what they doing to stop me. And I had to fight to do this, and they tried to stop me, and I had to fight to do that, and they had to stop, and they tried to stop me, and I had to fight to do this. But when Alicia Reese is done, you can't say Alicia Reese we didn't know what was going on because didn't nobody tell us. Alicia Reese gonna tell you. That's what Landsmen should be doing now. Have your vote, step outside, call Lincoln Ware and say, hey, Lincoln, this is Representative Landsman. I'm up here at the Capitol right now. See, this is why we need more Democrats. The Republican Party can't even come together and elect a speaker. We're going to have to, how long are we going to have to go through this Congress not able to do anything because Republicans can't elect a speaker? He should be calling Cunningham, saying the same thing. Sure, Cunningham and them going to push back on him, but you get that message out there while it's going on. You put that dysfunctional. Republicans are dysfunctional. Look at what's going on. Republicans are dysfunctional. Look, they can't even elect a speaker. Republicans are dysfunctional. We on vote number 6, and they still can't elect a speaker. Republicans are dysfunctional. You got to put the two together. So when you think Republican, you think dysfunction. And then when it comes time to run, you say, do we really want this dysfunctional party? This Republican Party having any sort of control? That's what he's supposed to be doing right now. And I'm telling you, they dropping the ball. They dropping the ball. Ben says the king of chaos. That's not being. What's happening is chaos. What's happening at the House is chaos. And Democrats need to be capitalizing on this. Because, Janice, you are absolutely right. One thing about Republicans, they would surely be pushing that story. No doubt about it. I would call Lincoln if I was Greg Landsman. I'm telling you what I would do if I was Greg Landsman. I'm a freshman representative. I would say, hey, Lincoln, we voting on this thing. He got Lincoln's number. I want to do a daily report about the dysfunction of the Republican Party here in Washington. Lincoln would go for it. I would do the same to Cunningham and the guys over at 700 and the media here, the local 5912. You will see my face everywhere. Fox 19, we got a special report from Representative Greg Landsman. Yeah, we're up here. It's day number 3. We're on vote number 9, and the Republicans still can't choose. The Republicans still can't choose a speaker. That's what I would be doing. That would be my plan every time you looked up. This dysfunction in Washington is because of, and I would highlight, look, the Democrats, we have a plan. We know what we want to do for America. And we are 100% behind our leader, Hakeem Jeffries, or as some people call him, Jaheim Jeffries. We are 100% behind our leader. All 212 Democrats have voted for him every time. As a matter of fact, he is the top vote getter in terms of Speaker of the House. That's what I would be saying every day. Every day. By the time it was done, they would be synonymous with dysfunction. But the Democrats, they're not thinking about that. They are letting Republicans dictate the conversation around this. I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it. But I'm not in office. But like Janice says, the Republicans would do it. Imagine if this was Nancy Pelosi trying to become the speaker and the Democrats had control and they had to go through 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 rounds of voting because there was a particular caucus in the Democratic caucus that would not vote for Nancy. Imagine what the Republicans would be doing right now. You think you would only be watching this, you would be hearing Republicans talk about how dysfunctional the Democrats are, and if they can't even run their party, how can they run our country? No doubt that would be their messaging. But these guys aren't doing that. And you can't wait to start messaging. Once this is, because eventually they're going to select a speaker. We won't go to, even though it would be bad for America, but it would be potentially great for the Democratic Party if we went 2 whole years and they never elected a speaker. That's not going to happen. Not going to happen. But it would be very interesting. But eventually they'll select a speaker. And then they'll come together. And then they're going to be whooping some Democrat ass. They're going to get their messaging together. They're going to talk about all of the infighting that Marjorie Taylor Greene and what's her name? I just said it not too long ago. Bo Ratch or whatever her name is. What is her name? Boebert. I don't know where I got Bo Ratch from. Boebert. At some point, all of that stuff is going to be buried. There's going to be a united front. They're going to be talking about how bad the Democrats are, how bad Joe Biden is, and that's going to be that. That's it. They're going to be on message. They're going to stay on message. Ben wants to know, what good is any of this doing for the black community? I hear you speak on the benefit to the Democrats. Well, that's what I'm talking about right now. And the benefit to the black community is that things are better for black people when Democrats are in control. That's just the truth. That's just the truth. Republicans don't want to do anything to help the black community. Republicans don't want black people to have any of the freedoms that they should have. Republicans are not pro-black. If you don't believe that, you got a right to believe what you believe. Now, I'm not saying that Democrats are 100% pro-black, because they're not. But they're better than Republicans. They're better than Republicans for black people. Ben, I'm going to ask you a question that I know you're not going to answer. But what positive legislation has the Republican Party put forward to help black people in any meaningful way in the past 20 years? Logic Slayer says you would have to change the election rules to make third parties viable. Ranked choice voting would be better. It would remove the fear that your vote would help one of the two-party candidates win. Well, I don't necessarily disagree with that. Ben says, because he doesn't want to answer my question, I asked you the question, but you can't answer, so you answer with a question. I actually did answer any question that you asked. Any question that you asked, I did actually answer. But I don't, somebody, look, because I could be wrong. I could be wrong. I want to be right. But I've been wrong before. So tell me, what legislation did Republicans put forth to help black people in America in the last 20 years? Be it small or large. Republicans are against all legislation that, at least that I believe, will help black people. So I'm asking the question, and look, if you give me the answer, I'll hear you. I'll hear the answer, and I'll accept that that's what you believe. Ben, in a way to avoid answering the question, says, I like you, brother, but it's sad these politicians use smart people like yourself to sell the black community this BS. Well, then tell me, what have the Republicans, tell me a piece of meaningful or even not so meaningful legislation that the Republicans have put forth to help the black community, to help the black community when it comes to police relations, to help the black community when it comes to voting rights, to help the black community when it comes to anything. I'm open to hear it. I'm open to hear it. I don't know every piece of legislation that's been put forth. So tell me. Vincent says, those Democrats you're talking about aren't pro-black. They are pro-black vote. Right wing, left wing, same bird. Okay. The Republicans ain't even pro-black vote, so they won't do anything to attempt to get your vote. I honestly, I don't understand. If you are like, hey, they all the same. Hey, they all the same. I can tell you that Democrats have put forth legislation to help black people. Yes, in the past 20 years. Even just the George Floyd Act. What have the Republicans put forth? So you can say right wing, left wing, same bird. But what one party, even if you say they just throwing you scraps, if scraps is what keep me alive, I'll take scraps. Whereas the other party is trying to take the scraps from me. Right wing, left wing, they all the same bird. But one want to take from me, and the other one will at least throw me scraps. Again, I'm not saying the Democrats love black people. I'm not saying that. I don't think that they do. One don't do nothing and the other one lie about it satisfies you. But one does nothing and one gives me scraps. I'm not going with the one that gives me nothing. I don't even understand the logic behind that. Okay, Dante says, black people want their hands held through life. Where did you get that from? That just, I don't know if you're a black person. I don't know if you're a white person, but that just sounds like self-hate. Just that first clause sounds like self-hate. I don't know a single black person, personally, that's like, oh, I want the government to hold my hand. I don't know that. But I do want the government to stop people from murdering me if I'm unarmed walking down the street. I want them to say, look, his rights are just as valid as anybody else's rights. If you consider that holding my hand, then sure. But that black people want their hands held through life, that's, if you're black, that's some self-hate. And if you're not black, that's just some racist BS. And Democrats will do that. No, they won't. Democrats won't do that. Democrats ain't holding black people's hand, helping black people. Where are you getting that from? What do you think Democrats are doing to hold black people's hand and help them? What do you think they're doing? They're not. He says, that's why y'all so democratic. I am against a hate group, which I believe the Republican Party is. Emanuel is in favor of staying with abusive spouses because you can't find another man? That's basically what unwavering supporter Democrats is. First, not in favor of that. Realistically or metaphorically. And that's not what I'm saying. I don't think either of them, in your analogy, is necessarily an abusive spouse. They might be a slightly, if we're spouses, one just don't come home at all. We got married and that spouse ignores me completely. And the other spouse, every once in a while, will say, yeah, I love you. And now I'm leaving. If you want to use that terrible, terrible analogy. Nat says they won't talk specifics. They won't. They talk in generalities and stereotypes because they don't have anything. And it's true. It's true. Democrats want to pass legislation. Will says, well, at least this conversation proves that we as black people are not monolithic like they try to paint us. That's for damn sure. Dante says, you have a black female Supreme Court justice and you still crying. Oh, my goodness. Well, here's what I would say in context to the conversation that we're having. The black female Supreme Court justice was nominated by a Democratic president. And Republicans voted against her. That says something, right? I mean, if that's what you're using as, look, if you get a black Supreme Court female justice, then that's great for black people. Republicans voted against that. Not all, but many. So that actually disproves your point. Anthony says, like having a friend, they say they want to do something for you, also say they may need some help from other folks. Yet when asked, those other folks say, hell no. All right. I don't know. Because you always got dumb people. Emmanuel, how much you make now? You running out of the buzz throwback money? Just take the shot, go back to the buzz. People miss you. Get out your fee and pride. All right, whatever. That was just stupid. It was just stupid. And sometimes you get stupid people. You can't. You I guess technically I could block all the stupid people, but I like the stupid people being on here sometimes so you can see how stupid they are. um, let's see. Those Democrats, black and white, have personal agendas. Yes, they do. No one's denying that. No one, again, I don't know how many times you have to say it. I'm not making the claim that the Democratic Party loves black people. I'm not making the claim that the Democratic Party wants to see black people excel. I'm not making that claim. I'm making the claim that Republicans hate black people. And they want to hold you down more than Democrats. That's it. That's it. And Ross wants to know, he wants saying to Twin, why he just called you stupid? Because he's stupid. I can answer that one for you. Let's see. But yes, they are voting on the 6th ballot, and already it is quite clear that McCarthy will not win. Donalds already has 8 votes. He can't win now. He can't win. I mean, assuming that the Democrats, all 212, vote with Jeffries again, he can't win. He can't win. So he's about to lose on a 6th ballot. And this is just going to go on and on and on. Let's see. To jump off of stupid people's comments, hook up with other like-minded people and have a stake in your own show. Syndicated. You never know who you know. All right. Twin mad now. He said I'm soft and I'm acting like Blade and something about my fake podcast. But you here. You're here. You're here. The Republicans would rather say nothing and do nothing because they might/will fail. So they do nothing and ridicule the Democrats for trying. Dante says, stop looking at yourself as a victim. Who's looking at themselves as a victim? What are you looking at or listening to? Ain't nobody holding you back but you. Okay. All right. Oh, let me see. Kamiki is who were the black people that hurt you? Hey, look, I don't know, Dante. If Dante's a black person, Dante hates himself or herself. Twin. This is the last one I'll read because it gets, how much you make. I'm going to fire you up all day till you get back downtown. All right. Well, good luck with that. I'll be looking forward to it. Democratic Party do just as much as the Bengals do for their fans. I don't even know what that means. Samuel said Kevin sold his soul for something he can't seem to have. Yeah. He about to lose this vote, and it's almost look like every time one or two of the Republicans are like, he can't make it. And so it's like another one. Defects, if you want to call it that. Dante says, I don't hate myself, Emanuel. Don't do that. Then what would you call it? Well, let me ask this. Are you black, Dante? Are you a black person? Are you a black man? Are you a black woman? Just type for me black man or black woman or white man or white woman or, whatever. Because I want you to understand why I'm saying if you're black, you hate yourself. I want you to understand why I'm saying that. That's why I don't know if you're black. I don't know. That's why I'm asking. Dante says he's a black man. Now, Dante, that's why I said you hate yourself. Hold on. I'm trying to scroll back. Y'all be patient with me. I'm trying to scrolling. Hold on, I'm still scrolling. I want to show you why I say you hate yourself. I want to show you. I don't want to, I don't want it to be I said that. I want it to be you said it. Okay, here we go. This is what you said about you. This is what you said about you. Black people want their hands held through life. You want your hand held through life? Is that what you want? And that's why y'all so democratic. So this, because you say you a black man. You said black people. It doesn't say some black people. It don't say that. It says black people want their hands held through life. And what are you suggesting when you say black people want their hands held through life? You're suggesting that black people are not competent enough to figure things out on their own. Or even maybe slightly more sinister, that black people are too lazy to go out and achieve on their own. That's what you said that about black people. I didn't say that you said it. It's right there. You said it. And you say you a black man. This is what you said about you. You either called yourself too lazy to get out there and achieve on your own, or too stupid to get out there and achieve on your own, to something to get out there and achieve on your own, so you want somebody to hold your hand through life. You said that. I didn't say it. You said it. That's why I say you hate yourself. Because that's what you think about you. I know a lot of black people. I talk to a lot of black people. And I don't know a single one of them. Not a single one. Now, I know that there are some lazy black people that exist, just like there's some lazy white people. I know that there are some black people who might not have the mental acuity to go about their life without someone guiding them every step of the way, just like there's some white people. But you, Dante, you said black people want their hands held through life. And then you say you don't hate yourself, but you a black man. And now he's saying, I'm not going to put it up there yet. I'll read it. He says, I, as a black man, got up and made my own way. I did it without I must guess you mean without a party. However, my people that constantly hang on the Democratic breast act as if they can't do it themselves. Dante, you said, see, you can't now, maybe now you begin to realize what you said is some self-hate. Because, hold on, now you as a black man got up and made your own way, but didn't you just say black people want their hands held through life? And didn't you say that you are a black person? So don't you realize that either what you said was horribly wrong, because it doesn't even apply to you, or just some self-hate? But you got to realize one way or the other, either I was wrong with what I said, or I think I was right and I hate myself. I think, at least from my perspective, that's your two options. That's your two options. Now, let me say, I don't agree with your initial statement that black people want their hands held. I don't agree with that initial statement. I just don't. But if you do, you hate yourself, bro. You've bought into the mindset that black people are dumb, stupid, or lazy, or, something like that. And I just reject that, man. I just reject that. Will wants to know, do you vote? Do you vote? And Dante, you say you got up and you made your own way. How? How did you make your own way? You did it without a party. I find that a lot of people just don't understand how much politics, politicians, parties, laws, rules, how much that plays into your everyday life. That stuff plays into our everyday life. You don't realize it, but it does. When you start a legitimate business, legitimate in our society. Oh, hold on, I got a call coming in. Oh my goodness. It's the afternoon experiment.
You know what it is, man. It's your cousin twin, man.
All right, what's on your mind?
Hey, man. Yeah, man, they're politician and all that. I don't, man, I vote every blue moon or whatever, but with the Democrats and all that, man, it's like waiting on an EBT card or whatever, and you already got 5 kids and everything, and they won't give you no food stamp. You overqualified. And dude,
What?
Dante, man, he a truck driver. He worry about push-ups and everything else. Of course, you got to get out here. Ain't nobody else go give you a handout.
Well,
You
wait a
got to
minute.
get out here and hustle.
But if he a truck driver, he had to go get that CDL, right?
Exactly.
That's
So he on there pump faking on your cast or whatever.
right, because
your lab, whatever.
that type of stuff is regulated by the government.
Yeah, exactly. You got to go through courses and everything to get it and everything. Back then, about what, 15, 20 years ago, he could have got away with it, whatever, if he was in Illinois or other states, because they were giving them away free until they got busted or whatever. All right, give me the money, pay this, and everything, but they got busted. The feds moved in on them, just like our old Governor Ryan in Chicago, Illinois. He got busted giving out free CDLs and everything, and he couldn't get the deal what he wanted. So somebody had to take the fall for it, and they got him, the weakest link, and everything. But Dante on there pump faking, man. He ain't nothing but an old truck driver, lift weights probably type guy, and everything. Don't get on a podcast or whatever live and pump fake like that, man. It's ridiculous. How you been doing it, man? Happy New Year's to you, brother.
Happy New Year to you as well. I've been doing all right.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a blessing. Hear your voice in the new year, 'cause you know some people ain't make it 2023, man. It's a blessing to hear from you, see you on the line. You know, I was there to joke with you and everything. You know, some people probably get offended. What twin coming at them like, man, it's all joke with me. I don't mean no harm, man. It just keep people laughing.
All right.
But some people around here just, take it on the other side. I'm not that type of guy.
Well, I'm glad you're not.
You be blessed. When you coming back downtown, though, man?
I'm not sure what you mean by coming back downtown. I'll be
You know
downtown
what
tomorrow.
You know what I mean, right there on Central.
I'm not.
Building.
I am not.
The hot seat.
I am not.
Man, hey, it'd be a blessing if you walk through there. Just take the crown shot, man. You ain't got to take the vaccine, just the crown. Tell them you'd rather take the crown than the vaccine.
I don't know what that means.
Crown Royal shot. Take a shot of that instead of the shot of the vaccine in your arm.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry, that went over my head a little bit. I didn't know what you meant by that.
Come on, man, catch up, man. You back slow back in 2020.
I didn't know.
Whatever, man, with 23, man. You come on.
I didn't know what that meant. He said take the crown shot. How was I supposed to know that meant drink some Crown Royal?
I forget how y'all say. I gotta break it down to dummy terms and shit. Whatever, man. Catch up, man. Come on, man.
All right.
Be blessed, man.
Hey, you do the
Stay
same.
safe.
You do the same.
All right, man.
All right. That was Twin. 513-717-5464. That's the number to get on board. I didn't know what he was talking about. All right. But yeah, no, Dante. And I want more of y'all to understand that government does play a part in your life in many ways. In many ways. And that's, to some degree, that's why y'all, politics is just tricks and it's all the nonsense y'all be saying. No, man, this is real stuff. It's real stuff that we deal with on a regular basis. For example, remember, I was talking about the whole holding your phone in your hand thing. And I know there are a lot of people who for it. I heard a lot of people on the radio. Oh yeah, they need to do that. Oh, they need to do that. People need to, they be having accidents from having the phone and texting while driving and blah, blah, blah. And that's all true. That's all true. People do get distracted while driving. It's true. But I think some of y'all might not be as gung-ho about it when the first young black man get killed. And the only reason he was pulled over is not because he was talking on his phone, not because he was texting, but because he had a phone in his hand. And the police pulled him over. And then they claimed they thought that phone was a gun and shot and killed him. Then some of y'all might be like, whoa, oh, that's wrong. Oh, that's bad. All of that over a phone. But some of y'all was all, gung-ho. Like, yeah, make that illegal. Make that a primary offense. Oh, yeah, that's the reason you... And y'all think I'm just saying stuff. But remember the dude that had the little tree, the little air freshener hanging from his... And that was the reason why he got pulled over? And then he ended up dead. He ended up dead because he had an air freshener tree in his car. And I've heard people say, hey, look, they just don't put an air freshener tree in your car. They just don't hold a phone while you driving. But come on, y'all, we all do stuff. Or at least I think. Everybody does something. You absent-mindedly do something and you like, oh man, I forgot I even had this phone in my hand. How many people have had their phone in their hand while looking for their phone? Where is my phone? Where is my phone? And I got my phone in my hand. If you can do that, it can slip your mind, And when that young man get killed, I want y'all to feel good about it. Those of y'all who's so 100% for it, I want y'all to feel good about it. I want y'all to know that this is what y'all wanted. I don't want to be pulled over and have an unnecessary interaction with law enforcement because I got a phone in my hand. I ain't texting on it. I ain't talking on it. I just happened to have it when I got in the car and I was not thinking and started the car and started driving. And next thing I know, woo, woo, woo. And now I'm having an interaction with police that we all know can go wrong. And we keep looking for reasons to make people have interactions with law enforcement. And this ain't even anti-law enforcement. This is just reality. The less interactions that I have with law enforcement, the less chance of me getting shot and killed by somebody in law enforcement. That's just reason. It's math. But we want this stuff. And this is how government plays a part in our lives. Ben says, I don't like that because the police can lie and say you had the phone in your hand, but distracted drivers is a real thing. You know who signed that into law? You know who passed that here in Ohio and signed it into law? Republicans. Republicans passed that and signed it into law. We act like politics don't affect us on a regular basis, but they do. And the way that the parties look at government, how do you say you want less government? I want less government, but I'm going to keep passing more laws to give law enforcement more of an opportunity to be a part of your life. The more laws you pass, that's the more government. This stuff affects you, whether you believe it or not, whether you understand it or not, whether you see it or not. This stuff affects you. David says, not going to feel good about that situation. LaDonna says, had my glasses on, looking for them before. I mean, it happens to, I don't know no one who, or I don't know anyone who, I can say I don't know no one. Look, it's 2023. The grammar, spelling, S's, that's all out the window. I don't know no one who that haven't happened to. But we want more laws. But then we want to act like politics don't matter. But as soon as some of this stuff happened, it's like, well, why was he even pulling the dude over for not having a front license plate? And then he ends up getting shot in the head. Well, because there's a law on the books that say you have to have a front license plate. I don't vote because none of that stuff matter. Even little stuff like that matter. And that is why you need to be out there voting for people with good common sense that look at stuff like this and don't just look at the so-called good part, but look at the potential drawbacks. Because there are potential drawbacks to a lot of this stuff. All right, what else we got? There was a couple other things that I wanted to talk about. But yeah, they are in their sixth vote. McCarthy is not going to win again. And again, stop thinking Jeffries is going to win. He is not. He'll end up probably with 212. He'll lead. He'll have the most votes, but you need 218 to become the speaker. I still think it would be funny if 6 Republicans voted for Jeffries and he became the Speaker of the House. A Republican-led House. That would be funny. It's not going to happen, but it would be funny. Let's see. What else? Just a few stories that I ran across, that I'll mention to you. At an Alabama airport, a ground crew worker was killed when he was sucked into the engine. Ooh. Yeah, airline ground employee died in an Alabama airport after the worker was sucked into the engine of a plane. The ground crew worker, whose identity has not been released, was an employee of Piedmont Airlines, which is a subsidiary of American Airlines. The NTSB said in a statement to USA Today that the incident involved an Embraer 170 aircraft that had flown from Dallas-Fort Worth to Montgomery Regional Airport. Officials said the plane was parked at the gate and that the parking brake was set when the worker was sucked into the engine. All outbound and inbound flights were initially grounded after the incident, which happened at around 3 p.m. Airport officials' operations resumed about 6 hours later. Yikes. So I guess this was yesterday? Yikes. Oh, that sounds like such a terrible way to go. Oh, my goodness. I know a person who worked, they don't work there currently, at an airport, and they said one of the things that they stressed over and over and over and over was clearance from those engines. Derek said it happened Saturday. Okay. One of the things they say that the stress is clearance. Clearance from those engines. LaDonna said they had a video on here. Yeah. Oh my goodness. When you out there working around stuff like that, you got to be aware. You got to be aware at all times. Oh, you sucked into it. Oh my goodness. Horrible. Horrible. Also, Jeremy Renner. Jeremy Renner has spoken out. He said, thank everybody for all their kind words. He said he's too messed up to type right now, but he's sending everybody love. I believe he's still in critical condition after he was in a snowplow accident. But he went on Instagram and just said thank you. And he looked messed up. They talked about the accident. They say, based on our investigation, Mr. Renner's personal vehicle, which was being driven by a family member, had become stuck in the snow near his home. He went to retrieve his snowplow, an extremely large piece of snow removal equipment, which weighs at least 14,330 pounds, in an effort to get the vehicle moving. After successfully towing the vehicle from its stuck location, he got out to speak to a family member. At this point, the snowplow started to roll. He tried to stop the snowplow. You know how you do. You try to run and get into the driver's seat. They say at this point, I don't know, maybe he slipped or something, and he got ran over by the snowplow. They said eyewitness detailed seeing Mr. Renner get into the snowplow and then not seeing him again until the snowplow came to a rest in a pile of snow in front of his driveway. They say they do not believe he was impaired. They just believe it was a tragic accident, but they are treating this investigation like they would with anybody else. I've seen people do that. I've seen people do that. Some, the things start rolling and you run and you try to get in and then you slipped under a 14,000-pound snowplow. See, did you hear about the employee who was killed by a customer in Georgia because the customer thought the black man was going in his car, possibly stealing? I did not hear about that. I did not hear that. Yes, man, there's this stuff going on out here, y'all. I did see this story. This caught my attention, and I don't really know why. Romeo and Juliet stars Olivia Hussey and Leonard Whiting sued Paramount for underage nude scene. Yeah, they say they was forced to do an underage nude scene when they were 15 and 16. They say initially they were told the scene was not going to be nude. They were going to wear a bodysuit, but then when it came time on the last day of shooting, they basically made them shoot naked, and you can see the little girl breasts in the movie, and you can see the boy's rear end in the movie. They're suing Paramount Pictures for $500 million. This happened when they were 15 and 16. They are now 71 and 72. Yeah, this happened in 1968. But apparently what happened was, at some point, California kind of suspended their statute of limitations. And they got in just under the wire. They got in just under the wire so that they could sue. Yeah. Should they win $500 million? Should they win $500 million? You suing for something that happened in 1968. But they were minors. They were minors. I don't know. I saw the story, and I'm like, I like the idea that that they suspended the statute of limitations on indecency and exploitation of children. I like the idea that they did that. But I don't know if this is the best way to, if this is the intention of suspending that. Terrence says they should get something. I don't know how much. Why should they get something? From 1968. They done went on and had careers and lives. One of the things that they said in their lawsuit is that their careers did not reflect the success of the movie. They said they suffered emotional damage and mental anguish for decades, and that each had careers that did not reflect the success of the movies. Sierra says, why shouldn't they? Why should they? It's 1968. Y'all did the movie. Y'all got paid. Y'all had careers. Y'all, all of that stuff. Y'all did all of that. And what, y'all upset because your career didn't take off like you thought it would? And so now you want $500 million? Come on, y'all. Do you think black folks should still get reparations? Sure. Sure. I don't understand what they got to do with this. They shot a scene in a movie they got paid for. I don't know that that's comparable to, you know, hundreds of years of slavery. You know what I'm saying? They want $500 million. Rick says, how far back did they go on Bill Cosby? Not very far. His trial was about something that happened in the 2000s. So they didn't go very far back. People brought up old stuff, but in terms of what he was prosecuted for, that wasn't for stuff that happened in the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, the 90s. Actually, I believe it happened. I don't remember. I would have to look it up again. How much did the studio make from the film? I don't know. I don't know how much the studio made from the film. It says this is, I guess, in the lawsuit. It says given that suffering and the revenue brought in by the film since its release, the actors are entitled to damages of more than $500 million. So you think they should get $500 million, Sierra? Terrence, you think they should get $500 million because they was 15 and 16 and shot a nude scene? Okay, Sierra, Terrence, what should they get? What's a couple seconds of nudity worth? I mean, and keeping in mind, they did get paid when they did the movie. Janice says, where were their parents? Probably standing there watching. Thinking, yeah, we about to get paid, which they did. It ain't like they did the movie for free. Terrence says, how many times do I have to say? I don't know how much. You can't be on here talking about they should get something and not give us some idea of what you think. Well, I mean, I guess technically you can, but it seems unfair to get on here and say, Terrence, you are on the jury. Damn it. You on the jury and you got to determine how much they get. They suing for $500 million for a couple seconds of nudity back in 1968. When they were 15 and 16. It's not like they were 3 and 4. They were 15 and 16. They got paid for the movie. They've had long careers. They are now 71 and 72. You're on the jury. How much should they get, Mr. Jury Foreman, the real Terrence Howard? You don't get to say that, man. You're on the jury. You got to make this decision. You giving them $1? You giving them 100? What you giving them? Yes, I think they should collect their coins from an institution that benefited from their trauma. How much, Sierra? How much? Since we kicking Terrence off of the jury, since he can't decide. How much should they get, Sierra? Shirley says $1 million each and go sit down somewhere. Okay. All right, that's the number. $1 million, I don't know. Genesis, that's a lot of money. They owe $500 million. Does the article mention why they waited so long? Well, it just says that let me scroll back down here. Oh, come on, scroll. It says, given their suffering, they want $500 million. The lawsuit was filed under a California law temporarily suspending the statute of limitations for child sex abuse, which led to a host of new lawsuits and the revival of many others that were previously dismissed. That suspension expired December 31st, prompting a wave of last-minute lawsuits. And see, to me, from my perspective, and this is just from my perspective, that suspension was for people who were like sexually abused. You know, the priest abused you, like had sex with you or fondled you, and you wanted to sue the church, but they were protected by the statute of limitations or something like that. Like sex abuse. Could I say that this was sex abuse? I don't know. I don't know if I would consider this sex abuse. They wasn't necessarily sexually abused. They did a movie in which they had a nude scene. Logic Slayer says, keep in mind, they already did get money for this. Yes. And, hold on, let me see if I can find that particular paragraph. Hold on. Because there was a paragraph. Makeup. Body shoot. They were filmed in the nude. They were told that they must act in the nude or that the picture would fail. They believed they had no choice. Somebody's booty was in it. Somebody's titties was in it. They suffered damage. One of them, Hoosie, had previously, for years, been defending the scene. There's even an article from 2018 interview with Variety for the 50th anniversary of the film. She says, nobody my age had done that before. She said it was shot tastefully and it was needed for the film. So she defended it. Even as, recently as 2018. She defended it. She said nobody my age had done that before. She said it was shot tastefully and it was needed for the film. But now she wants $500 million. So was it needed? Shot tastefully? Or were you abused and you want $500 million? To me, the two of them things don't necessarily coexist. You was proud of it in 2018. And then they said, you could sue. And you said, no, I don't like it. I want $500 million. So Terrence, former jury foreman, should they still get money even though they defended it as recently as 2018? Sierra, should they still get, because Sierra went crazy. Sierra said they should get $1 billion. Sierra went crazy for a minute. Sierra, should they still get $1 billion? Seeing as how they defended it. As late as 2018, they were saying it was tastefully done. It needed to happen. It was, nobody had done it before. Should they still get $1 billion? They want $500 million. I don't know. Was Brooke Shields nude as a child? Yeah. I think they said she was 14 when she did a movie and did a nude scene. Yeah. That was brought up in the article as well. Terrence says if she defended it, then she might lose. If it's a liberal jury, they'll get their money. But you won't tell us what they should get. Okay. All right. I was just curious. I wanted to know if it made a difference that they were defending it until they could sue about it. Anybody ever lost luggage? When I say lost luggage, I mean you went on a flight, you put your luggage on the flight, not you checked your bag, you came, the little carousel came around, and you never saw your stuff. And then you went to the people and you like, Terrence. All right, Terrence. You went to the people and they said, look, we will look for your luggage. You go here wherever it is that you're going. And once we find your luggage, we'll get it to you. Anybody ever experienced that? I experienced it. And luckily they got me my luggage. Luckily. Mrs. Livingston experienced it not too long ago, and she never got her luggage back. And then, they tell you got to file a claim. But there's a lot of details in terms of filing a claim. There's a lot of details. Like they want receipts for... Look, if I go on a trip today and I don't go buy clothes for that trip, I don't know if a lot of people know this, but this is what they do. And I don't go and buy clothes for the trip. I ain't got no receipts, but they want receipts. Like, what was the value? You need to, tell us everything that was in the bag and the value of it. And then you need to back that up with receipts. I ain't got no receipts for my drawers. You know what I'm saying? These is my drawers. When I go buy drawers, I don't typically keep the receipt because I know I'm not taking them back. I go buy a jacket, I go buy a shirt. If I know I'm not taking it back, who keeps the receipts to all their clothes? I'm sure somebody out there does. There's somebody out there that's like, I got a receipt for every stitch of clothing I got. But when I go on a trip, unless I'm going out, and this has never happened, unless I go out and buy brand new clothes for this trip, I don't have the receipts. And then even if you got the receipts, then, they want to know, well, of course, when did you buy it? How much was it? And then depreciation. Yeah, they be going bonkers on that stuff. Let me see. There was a woman who had a missing bag. She traveled with United, and United said it had this woman's missing bag, and they were going to send it to her. But what this woman did was she had one of them trackers. Like, you can get little trackers. I know Apple has one. She had put it in her bag. Well, she say she went on this trip. United lost her bag. She had an AirTag, which is a tracking device that Apple has. She had it in this bag. She went to them and she said to them, "Hey, my bag never came up off the carousel." They said, "All right, we'll get it to you." They called her and they told her that they had the bag. All of this is documented. They called her and told her that they had the bag. They told her it was there. Did she want to come into the airport and get it, or they could bring it to her? And of course, like most people do, you can just bring it to me. She say she had her tracker on. Somebody took her bags home. I guess the service that they gave it to deliver it to her, the guy took her bag home and kind of went around with her bag. She tracked the bag she said December 29th came and went, and she didn't have her bag. Then December 30 came, then December 31st came, January 1st, still no bag. She said she was trying to contact him every day, but the whole time on the phone was incredible, which it is. She says, "I never made it." And through the chat on the app, which they will chat for you, the wait time was 2 to 4 hours. She said, but she did it every day. And they were reassuring her that the bag is coming. They said, "It's in our system. It's in our service center. It'll be delivered tonight." She said, but that was never true. Said she already knew something was wrong because she could see exactly where the bag was thanks to the AirTag. She said Friday the 30th at 8 p.m., it had gone to rest in an apartment complex a couple of miles from where she was. Says she assumed that it would be delivered the next day, but she says she watched the tracker. She watched as her bag went to McDonald's. After that, to a nearby shopping center in the suburbs twice. On Tuesday, the day she got the bag back, she watched it visit a mall. She said every time she would go to that same apartment complex, she said United representatives were still telling her that the bag was in their distribution center, despite her proof to the contrary. One of them even told her, "Calm down. Calm down." Well, she was on Twitter, so she was kind of screenshotting all of this. And apparently, the tweet kind of went viral. She said she went back to the apartment complex where the AirTag said that the suitcase was. She said she found empty suitcases out by the dumpster. She says that's when she got worried. That's when she got worried. She said, and United was lying to me, so she, went back on Twitter. She said she called the police when she found the suitcases by the trash, but she said the police weren't able to help much since she couldn't pinpoint the exact apartment it was in. She said Twitter's team was suggesting she file a reimbursement claim, which again, them claims is a scam. They don't want to give you reimbursement. She said she just wanted her bag back. So she kept tweeting, kept logging the location of the bag as it visited places, including a wax museum and a McDonald's, and kept going back to the apartment. She says on her fourth visit, because her tweet had gone viral, she was accompanied by a local TV crew, and everything had changed at that point. She said they wandered around to the garbage again, a garage again, where with a local resident who had seen her thread on Twitter. She says the other bags that were by the dumpster, by this time they was gone. The resident who came to help said they seen someone taking them inside. So they was peeking around in trunks trying to find her suitcase, and then went outside and got a text from the courier saying he had her bag and was just around the corner. He met her in front of the building and brought her bag with him. She said that the bag still had the airport label on it and was still locked. The contents appeared to be intact. Of course, United says the service our baggage delivery vendor provided does not meet our standards, and we are investigating what happened to lead to this service failure. But of course, they didn't address the behavior of the staff, and of course, the line by telling her it's still at the service center. All of this really, I tell you all of this story. Just look, when you go flying, Because I know people, I've been flying a million times and never lost my bag. And Mrs. Livingston could have said that exact same thing until she did. From now on, when we fly, we use trackers. And just the idea that your bag is just going to be there, don't take it for granted. Be aware of what's going on. And, if you can, track your bag, but understand their process. If you don't believe me, look it up. Go to any of the airlines and ask them what is their process to file a claim for a lost bag. And you're going to realize you're not getting that money back. You're not getting that money back. They don't want to pay you. And even what she did, what Mrs. Livingston ended up having to do is while we were out there, she had to go buy clothes because all her clothes was gone. So she had to go buy clothes. And they didn't want to reimburse her for the money that she had to spend on clothes. And she had those receipts. She had those receipts. Telling y'all, they're just be aware. That's all I'm really doing. I'm trying to make you aware. So when you go on a trip, you're aware of what could happen. And again, Mrs. Livingston, she done traveled basically the world. And it had never happened to her before until it happened. Sierra says, I usually use a carry-on suitcase and backpack to try to avoid this. That's what we do now. That's what the last trip that we took, like we ain't checking nothing. We got our carry-on. We got a nice big backpack. All our stuff fly with us. We don't check nothing anymore. But I just wanted to make y'all aware that things like that happen. But if you can get the trackers. Now, look, there was an issue not too long ago with the trackers because there were people, wives, who were saying that, hey, my husband uses that tracker to track my whereabouts. And, they weren't too happy about it. And I think there were even like some domestic situations where people had kind of hid a tracker on, like the ex or something like that. And then they were able to kind of stalk them. So people got issues with the trackers. But if you're using it for this purpose, just be aware that they're out there. And it's not just Apple. A lot of different companies have them. But just be aware that they're out there and that you can use them. All right. The House has adjourned now until 8 p.m. The House has adjourned until 8 p.m. Of course, McCarthy lost again. What was that? The 6th vote. McCarthy lost again, the 6th vote. They adjourned until 8. I'm guessing they'll come back at 8 and get back to voting. Maybe the Republicans will all get together in a room between now and 8. I'm not sure that they're allowed. I'm not sure. But maybe they'll, hash it all out. Maybe they'll hash it all out. And maybe on the 7th vote is a charm. I have to tell you, I know it's not necessarily good for the country because this means no business can get done in the House. Like I said, if the Senate were to pass a bill today and send it over to the House, they can't even consider it because there's no speaker. There are no rules. There are no committees. And of course, one of the things that the Republicans want to do with the committees, which is just silly and ridiculous, is they want to investigate Hunter Biden's laptop. Now, for those of y'all who was talking about what are the Democrats doing for black people, what is investigating Hunter Biden's laptop gonna do for black people or for anybody? Rick want to know how many times they have to vote until they get a speaker. Like I said, and I think it was like 1835. They voted 133 times before they could elect a speaker. In 1920 something, I think it was 1928, and I think they voted, what was it, 45 times or 85 times or something like that. I might be getting some of them numbers mixed up, but they got to vote until they figure it out. There is no number. There is no limit. It's not like, okay, we vote 100 times, and then if we ain't got somebody, then we just go on ahead and handle the business of the country. It's not the way that works. They vote until they get a speaker. And they both have said, both sides on that Republican have said, we not blinking. And I kind of believe them. And so really, to me, the only question is, how long do they let it go on? Because I imagine it's one of those things where when you dig your heels in, you are now entrenched in that position. And you look weak if you give up. You lose if you give up. So if that portion of the Freedom Caucus says, all right, we will vote for McCarthy. They got no power now. You blinked, you lost. That's the way they feel. I'm not necessarily saying that's the case, but that's how you feel. Like, I lost now. I got no power. And they've already been talking about, the establishment Republicans. Like, we don't trust these members of the Freedom Caucus. And of course, the Freedom Caucus is like, we don't trust the establishment because they made us some promises and then they said that they wasn't going to make do with the promises. And that says they make $174,000 a year for this BS. Yes. Yeah, they are still getting paid. They are still getting paid. The line dude, what was his name? What was the line dude name that we talked about yesterday? Lied about everything out of New York. He is still sitting there. This is good for him. This is good because this is overshadowing him. I was watching the news and they were following him around and they were asking him questions and asking him questions and asking him questions and asking him questions. He wasn't answering. And then they showed him he's sitting there kind of isolated in the house while all of this is going on. I ain't seen nothing about him today. I don't even remember his name. I'll have to look it up again. But I ain't seen nothing about him. Because he's not the story anymore. The line, Congressman, is not the story anymore. The Republicans not being able to elect a leader has overshadowed him as a liar. George Santos, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Campbell. Yeah, George Santos, you ain't heard nothing about him all day, have you? You're probably not going to hear anything about him for a while. Sierra says, this is entertaining, but also a terrible waste of civil resources. He hasn't even been sworn in, but he's there. I mean, they're there to be sworn in. He is voting. They got to elect the people, and then they're all there, but they can't carry out the business of government. They can't carry out the business of government until they elect somebody. Like, everything in the House is at a screeching halt. And yes, they getting paid. Yes, they getting paid. I mean, they are all representative elects. Well, all the ones who had to run, for a seat. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But You ain't heard about him. You're not gonna hear about him for until this all comes to a conclusion, and then we'll see if you hear about him. We'll see if you hear about him. But 8 o'clock, they'll be at it again. They'll be voting. We'll see what happens. On the NBC, yeah, that's the headline. McCarthy loses again. House adjourns. Somebody said that what's his name again? Santos hasn't been elected yet. Oh, Janice says, yes, he has. Isn't there something about the secretary or clerk that could what? The secretary or clerk that could. No, there's not. They can't. They are running basically the vote. Like they're in charge of the House now until they elect a speaker. And Matt Gaetz, he's making, I'm laughing at him because now he's trying to get Kevin McCarthy kicked out of the office of the Speaker of the House. Yeah, he sent a letter. I can't remember who he sent the letter to, but he sent the letter asking and inquiring, basically calling Kevin McCarthy a squatter. He's saying if there is no Speaker of the House, how does he get to occupy the office of Speaker of the House? So he wants him kicked out of his office. It's just, they are going crazy. Isn't there something about the secretary or the clerk of Congress that fills that position until there's some type of remedy? No. They are in charge of the House, yes. But there's no rules for this particular, what is the 118th Congress? There's no rules for it. No rules. There's no speaker. They can't do the business. Like, they can't just be like, all right, the clerk is the speaker. That's not how it works. That's not how it works. It seems like it should work that way, but that's not how it works. Nah, they there. And, they recognize people for, the whatever the chair recognizes. I don't even think they say the chair, but, we recognize the whatever gentlewoman out of Florida. And then, they'll do their speech and their nomination. For what reason does the gentleman from New York want to speak? And they'll do that. And then they call up the person who does the speaking. I think she's not the speaker, but she's the something or another. They got titles. And then she actually does the roll call vote. But pretty much that's all they can do right now is just keep handling that portion. But they're not in a position where they can say, hey, all right, y'all, look, just like Janice says, yes, there's a black woman in charge presently, but she's not in charge like the speaker would be. She's in charge of kind of running this kind of parliamentary thing. Like, she can't get up and say, all right, look, I'm tired of this. Kevin, you the speaker, and let's get business going. She can't step up and be like, look, this is stupid. So a bill was passed over here that we need to consider. So let's consider voting on this bill. She can't do that. She can't be like, look, all right, y'all getting on my nerves. So here's what we gonna do. She doesn't have that kind of authority. No, they got to elect a speaker. Just plain and simple. It sounds crazy. And I know I don't, I ain't no political expert, but they have to elect a speaker no matter how long it takes. and they can't handle the business of the House of Representatives until they do. And they vote as many times as it takes until it happens. Period. Some of y'all like, oh, that don't sound right. You don't know what you're talking about. They can't just do this. It could be 2 years from now. If they haven't elected a speaker, they just gonna keep voting over and over and over and over and over and over and over. That's all they can do until they elect a speaker. All right. What happens if something catastrophic happens and speaker next in line to run the country? Oh, okay, I get what you're saying. I don't really know. I don't really know because there is no speaker. My guess is, and this is just me guessing based on nothing but what I feel like is common sense, which ain't always the way things go. My guess is it would be Hakeem Jeffries, since I guess he was the last person officially in that position. But that's just my guess. I don't know. I genuinely, if something catastrophic happened and the president and the vice president were no longer able to fulfill their duties, there is no speaker. So my guess is it would go to the last person who officially held that position. Like Jenna said, until somebody get 218 votes. And I know that Hakeem Jeffries was only 6 votes short, and he's going to remain 6 votes short. That means all of the Democrats are voting for him. And hopefully that's what they do over and over and over. Now, the only thing, and this would make me mad, is the Democrats could, and I'm not 100% on this. I know some of y'all are probably a little more aware of this. But if the Democrats basically decided to not show up, then that lowers the threshold that Kevin McCarthy needs. And then he can be elected to Speaker of the House. But he would need the Democrats to help him. And if the Democrats help him, they don't deserve, they are not fit to hold office. If the Democrats help him in any way, shape, or form, they are not fit to hold office, in my opinion. They were asking Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, and she was basically saying, you know, a few people had asked her if the Democrats would help, and the Democrats' position is Kevin McCarthy would have to come to the Democrats and specifically ask them for their help. And I thought that was the worst answer ever. The answer should be, I don't care what happens, we are not here to help them determine who the leader of their party is. We will be here in full force every day voting until they get 218. If the Democrats help in any way, shape, or form, they are not fit to hold office. But yeah. Fall of America right before our eyes. Again, I don't know about that. It's not like this is the first time that this has ever happened. It's the first time this happened in like 100 years. But it's not the first time. Janice says, don't be too sure that Jeffries cannot win. Here is why I'm as sure as I am. I believe there's a much greater chance, Janice, that the Democrats will do something to help Kevin McCarthy become the Speaker of the House, because they have that ability, than 6 Republicans deciding to vote for Hakeem Jeffries. And I'm just basing that on, kind of what I was saying earlier. If this was the other way around, Republicans would be all over the news and making it 100% about the dysfunction of the Democratic Party, but we don't necessarily see that the way that we should see it, in my opinion, from the Democrats. Republicans, they gonna go hard. So I don't believe that there is any way. Again, I think it's much more likely that Democrats will decide, okay, we not gonna show up and give Kevin McCarthy a path to becoming the speaker, as opposed to 6 Republicans saying, we gonna vote for Hakeem Jeffries just to get this over. But I understand. I mean, it's not technically impossible. It's not impossible for Jeffries to win, but I don't see it happening. I don't see it happening. In the line of succession, since the Speaker of the House position is vacant, then it would go to the President pro tem of the Senate, who is next after the Speaker. All right. All right. That sounds reasonable. I'm assuming Black Russian, you looked that up. And that sounds reasonable. So, okay. So there you go. There you go. All right, y'all. I got to get out of here. They are in recess. McCarthy defeated 6 times in a row. And we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. I appreciate y'all hanging out with me. This has been the Afternoon Experiment. My name is Emanuel Livingston. My title is the King of Talk. I hope something amazing happens in your life today. Something life-changing. All right? Until next time. I'm out, y'all. Peace.